Listening to WBOK.
WBOK New Orleans. Home of the Good Morning Show, 7 to 9 a.m. weekdays.
This news report is brought to you by New Schools for New Orleans.
I'm Bree Wood with BIN News Now. An Army gynecologist at Fort Hood in Texas is accused of secretly recording women during exams. In an exclusive interview with NBC, the Jane Doe has a message for Army leaders.
Shame on you for letting this happen. Shame on you for not taking action.
A lawsuit claims Dr. Blaine McGraw exploited patients. He's been suspended while the Army investigates. Chicago aldermen want more solutions for the city's billion-dollar deficit. They're urging Black Mayor Brandon Johnson to dig deeper into an EY consultant's report. Johnson says he's open to ideas but defends his corporate tax plan, calling on big companies to pay their fair share. And iHeartMedia and TikTok are teaming up for a first-of-its-kind partnership, launching TikTok Radio and a new podcast network with up to 25 creator-hosted shows. The deal also includes live events. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
This is Dr. Jaquil Ross, the host for Talk That, NOLA Education, brought to you by New Schools for New Orleans. On Talk That, we'll be focusing on the amazing work of educators and students happening inside and around public schools in New Orleans. Our school communities are full of so much talent and promise, so let's talk about it. This month, we'll be joined by Jamar McNeely, Jarrell Bryant, and Dana Peterson for a discussion focused on the importance of Black men in education. Also, we will hear from Kathleen Harris, Dr. Sheila Guidry, and Dr. Kelly Jordan to talk about how NSNO and NOLA Public Schools are supporting a growing English language learner population in our schools. Following that, we will have a conversation with a few representatives from NOLA Public Schools to talk about the upcoming enrollment window for school year 26-27 using the New Orleans Common Application process. So tune in to Talk That, NOLA Education every Monday at 12:30 p.m. on 12:30 a.m. To learn more about NSNO and our programs, visit newschoolsforneworleans.org.
Good morning, wake up. The Good Morning Show. Good morning. On WBOK.
New Orleans, and welcome to the Good Morning Show right here at WBOK, 12:30 a.m. If you're listening on AM, that's 1230. If you're listening on the internet, you can get to us almost anywhere, and you can certainly go to the station's website, WBOK1230am.com, and pick us up and listen to the live stream. And, of course, we always love to see and hear our Facebook Live audience. Go to the station's Facebook page. Catch us live right there at WBOK 1230 AM Facebook Live. Good morning, everyone. Well, what a change in the weather, huh? I was all ready to get bundled up and head outside. I looked at the weather last night, but I thought that can't be after the cold snap. So I was prepared to wear a bit of a heavier jacket, and, well, it's pretty darn nice out there. Beautiful sunny day, and I think that it's going to be a wonderful opportunity for us to see what the Lord has in mind for us today. I am blessed to be on the other side of the earth this morning. I hope that you are. We've got an incredible show lined up for you today. And I am excited to let you know that if it's Thursday, you know what that means if you listen to the show on any regular basis. If it's Thursday, we will hear from our U.S. Congressional Representative, Troy Carter. Yep, Troy Carter will be back this morning. And with the news that's developed in the last few days, and particularly last night, on the budget in Congress, went through the U.S. Senate and then over to the U.S. House. And so there was a somewhat narrow passage of this budget continuation, but don't be fooled. It's just an extension to get us into January in a number of cases, and then 1 year otherwise. So we'll hear more about that from Congressman Carter this morning. And we'll also be hearing from Kathy Hempstead, who is the Senior Policy Officer at the Robert Wood Johnson Foundation. Of course, we've heard from our friends at Robert Wood Johnson Foundation before. You know, they do such important work and deep analysis, digging into the data. What they have discovered is that there's about 30% of states that use healthcare.gov, and there are states that use their own marketplaces. And they're going to talk to us about what that means in terms of the impact on those of us who seek insurance, health insurance. So what a day to have that conversation. This was previously scheduled, but with everything that's going on with the fight over health care in Washington, D.C., what better timing could that be? And we have a guy who doesn't normally come on to WBOK. He's been at WBOK before. So to be fair, he's been on WBOK before. But it's been some time since he's been on the Good Morning Show. And we are happy to have the opportunity to hear from somebody that we don't always agree with. But he is our top executive officer in the state of Louisiana, Governor Jeff Landry. Governor Jeff Landry is scheduled to come on sometime this morning and talk with us specifically about SNAP benefits. So we'll have an opportunity to hear from the Gov about what has been going on with snaps on, snaps off, snaps on, snaps off, federal government funding, state funding. Well, we'll have a guy who knows a bit more right here on WBOK. It is 7:08 a.m., and I hope that everybody who is on their way to work will get there safely. If you are on target for arriving at 7:15 or 7:30, and if you are driving, please, 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 please be safe. As we learned in the last couple of days, it's not just about getting on the highway. It's about even leaving your own driveway or your street and watching out for the kids. Watch out for the kids, please. The school zones are in effect until 9 a.m. And we want you to be careful as you get up. Fortunately, it's a bright, sunny day, so weather should not be inhibiting your driving in this particular on this particular day. So we really, really want you to be careful as you head out to work or to your doctor's appointment or your physical exercise or go to play cards or whatever you're going to be doing. Please, 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 please be careful as you are heading out. So I look forward to hearing from you all today. We've got some time in the show to hear from you directly, anything that is on your minds. The WBOK 1230 AM talk line is 504-582-9422, 504-582-9422. Once again, 504-582-9422. You're listening to WBOK 1230 AM, what New Orleans is talking about all day long.
This is your news update for WBOK from WDSU. For all your news and weather, watch WDSU News, New Orleans' leader in live, local, late-breaking news. Today at noon and 4 p.m.
Good morning. I'm Daryl Forges with WDSU News, and here's your headlines. After 43 days, this morning the federal government is once again open. This after the House passed a stopgap funding bill last night, and the president signed it shortly after that. And the reopening will have real-world impacts on Americans. More services are getting back online thanks to the return of furloughed federal workers. But SNAP benefits could be available again sometime soon. Today, the New Orleans City Council will meet for a special meeting focused on the budget. The meeting comes after the State Bond Commission approved the city's request to secure a $125 million loan to help cover payroll. The deal comes with strict oversight, like weekly meetings, and the state auditor essentially policing the city's checkbook. Local leaders describe it as a critical step to avoid a worse budget crisis. Moreno says they expect to get the money fairly quickly, but it likely won't be in enough time for upcoming payroll, so they think they'll have to tap into the rainy day fund for that. The hot seat is getting a lot hotter for head coach Willie Green of the Pelicans. This after the Pels fell against the Trailblazers last night inside the Smoothie King Center. And as the Pelicans prepare to take on the court again tomorrow against the Los Angeles Lakers, many are wondering what's next for Willie Green. I'm Daryl Forges, and that's your headlines for WBOK. Have a great day. Good Wednesday morning. I'm Daryl Forges.
Late nights are made for chillin', and you can do just that every Sunday night at 10 p.m. as DJ Wick brings you The Love Zone. It's the perfect way to top off your weekend with your favorite old and new school ballads. So sit back, relax, and let DJ Wick take you to the Love Zone on WBOK and on the World Wide Web at WBOK1230.com.
Good morning, wake up. The Good Morning Show. Good morning. On WBOK.
Good morning, and welcome back to the Good Morning Show. I am Will Sutton. Yes, I am flying solo on this side of the glass, but that's all right. Thank goodness I got some glass because I can see super producer Nine Sanders on the other side. I know I got some company. It might not be easy to talk when we're on air because I'm talking to you and yours, but I know he's got me on the other side. So we've got a lot of stuff going on, and I want to bring you up to date on just a few things. Just a friendly reminder that we've got Congressman Carter coming up in a bit, and we're going to have the governor of the state of Louisiana, Jeff Landry, coming up as well. There was a teenager, 16-year-old boy, who was killed in a Gerttown shooting yesterday, walking home from school. So this was about the 8600 block of Palmetto Street, about 4:30 p.m. The young man, apparently, according to police, was approached by a number of males, don't know boys or men, and shot a few blocks away in the 8200 block of Strolitz Street. He was wearing a school uniform and a backpack when police found him, and they're pretty sure he was walking home from school. Not really sure what happened, but police department representative Reese Harper said something like this shakes the community. This is tragic. Children should be able to go to school, come back from school without being harmed. Isn't that the truth? So about 5:30 p.m., there was a dozen or so onlookers who had gathered, and police were there with flashing lights, and people were coming out to see what was going on. The body was in the street, and police were gathering evidence. And if any of you all have any information, please contact the New Orleans Police Department. We should not have our kids shot and killed or otherwise injured on their way to school or on their way home to school. If there's a beef, there's another way, and this is not it. We also had a Littlewood stabbing that we told you about the other day, and police were looking for somebody connected with a stabbing in Littlewoods that left one man dead and 2 women injured. Well, they got somebody, and I'm going to have a tough time saying the name. Chukwuebuka Iwini, Eweni, age 29, and he was booked on a count of second-degree murder and a couple of counts of attempted second-degree murder, and he was evaluated for his medical wellness. They think that police, I should say, think that he fled a residence that was in the 8,000 block of Pebble Drive after stabbing a man in that block and stabbing 2 women. The man died. The women were injured, but that did not mean he was sticking around on the scene. So the SUNO Alumni Association did name this guy as a computer sciences professor. I'm sorry, Samuel Iwini as a computer sciences professor. But I'm not sure, this is one of those things I don't understand sometimes, but I'm not sure what the connection is to this guy. So just because he has a like name or the same name doesn't mean he was connected. And certainly, it's a name that it'd be like using Sutton, in my opinion. Just because somebody's named Sutton doesn't mean I have the wealth of the famous Sutton of New York City, or that I have the of the ilk of a Sutton who's arrested on whatever. The report from my colleague Missy Wilkinson seems to make a connection based on one of people who know the family, Reverend John Kraft, a retired chaplain at Chapel of the Holy Comforter, says that Samuel Iwini was father of 4 and a senior warden at the chapel, and spent summers doing missionary work. And Kraft said Samuel Iwini was killed by his son. So that's not a direct connection, but it's a possible connection that the father and 2 daughters might have been the victims. Very sad case. According to this one chaplain, the son has suffered from mental illness, and this is very sad indeed for something like this to have happened. We'll look for more information from the New Orleans Police Department, and if you know something about this, please let us know. We also have a report that a police officer and an armed suspect were involved in a traffic stop with gunshot wounds on yesterday in Tangipahoa Parish. Neither had life-threatening injuries, but the police did capture the suspect 3 hours after the suspect fled, and there was some gunfire involved. So again, if you have some information about that, please contact the state police or the sheriff's office. You can always reach out to local authorities to find out how you might be helpful, particularly in TICFAW, TICKFAW. All right, it's 7:21. We're going to take a break right here at WBOK, 12:30 a.m. I am Will Sutton. The talk line is 504-582-9422, 504-582-9422. We'll be back in a minute. This is WBOK, what New Orleans is talking about all day long.
This is your news update for WBOK from WDSU. For all your news and weather, watch WDSU News, New Orleans' leader in live, local, late-breaking news. Today at noon and 4 p.m.
Mostly sunny today with highs staying above average from 75 to 78 degrees. Even morning lows over the next several days will be a lot warmer compared to earlier this week. Expect those lows to be into the low to upper 50s. There's still no rain in sight, but we could have fog over the next several mornings. Friday's highs also reach the upper 70s to low 80s. From the WDSU First Warning Weather Center, I'm Raven Richard.
Missed a show? Want to hear that guest everyone's talking about? WBOK is now streaming on all your favorite podcast apps. Just search WBOK Media, hit download, share with a friend, and don't forget to rate your favorite shows 5 stars. Because when our voices are heard, our impact grows.
Tired of the impersonal, one-size-fit-all style of banking? You deserve a bank that delivers exceptional service and personalized attention to your needs. That's the Home Bank Standard. Since 1908, Home Bank has been a trusted financial partner for businesses and families because we go the extra mile to help you reach your goals. See for yourself why Home Bank is good for business, good for life. Stop by any New Orleans area location or find out more at home24bank.com. Home Bank, member FDIC.
New Orleans, this is Councilman Freddie King III. This holiday season, we're inspiring the city by giving back with our annual Inspire the City Turkey and Ham Giveaway.
And this is Kim Charbonnet of the 6th Ward Steppers. Please join us on Tuesday, November 25th at Alice Hart Charter School at 10 a.m. and then we'll be at Mahalia Jackson Theater for 2.
Each vehicle will receive a turkey or ham, a perishable food package, and limited gas cards will be available while supplies last.
We're coming together to make sure families across New Orleans feel the love this Thanksgiving.
Because when we come together, we inspire the city.
Visit DePaul's new Algiers Health Center at 2801 General de Gaulle Drive to receive primary and preventive care for both adults and children. Services also include behavioral health, imaging, and on-site pharmacy, vision, Medicaid enrollment assistance, and more. For appointments, visit DePaulCommunityHealthCenters.org or call 504-207-3060.
A message from the community scientist. Do you live or work in St. James, St. John, St. Charles, Ascension, Calcasieu, Baton Rouge, or St. Bernard Parish? You may be exposed to harmful chemicals like phthalates, BPA, and flame retardants found in everyday products but linked to serious health risks. That's why the Community Scientist, a program of Rise St. James, brings you clear, science-based facts that protect your health and our environment. Stay informed, stay empowered. Visit risestjames.org today.
Hey, New Orleans, this is First Lady of Funk with Jason at Funky Soul Band. Get out November 15 and paid for by Calvin for Clark.
Good morning, Wake Up. The Good Morning Show. Good morning. On WBOK.
Good morning, New Orleans, and welcome back to the Good Morning Show right here on WBOK 1230 AM. It is 7:27 AM. The school zone speed limits are still in effect until 9 AM. Please, please, please be careful out there as you head to work, head to your doctor's appointments, head to see Granny or Mama. Just be careful, please. Protect yourself and protect others as you drive on our highways, byways, streets, and roads. Of course, it's Thursday, and if it's Thursday at WBOK, it's the day that we hear from our Congressman, U.S. Representative Troy Carter. Good morning, Congressman. How are you?
Good morning, sir. How are you today?
Fabulous. I'm flying solo today, so you're stuck with me and only me today.
All right. Well, that's all right, brother. You're just good.
All right.
Looking forward to talking to you always.
Well, Congressman, there's been a lot going on since we talked to you last, but man, what a lot happened yesterday with the government shutdown coming to an end. You're the congressman, I'm not, but looks like this is a government shutdown, reopening of the government, but leaving much pain.
Well, it's amazing that my colleagues are high-fiving and taking victory laps because they were able to pass this disastrous Republican budget, a budget that is woefully short of providing for the needs of the American people. We know that their blatant rejection of our multiple amendments and attempts to extend the ACA tax credits that would provide health care for literally millions of American people, working people, small business owners, people who who make just a little bit too much money to qualify for Medicaid, but don't make nearly enough money to be able to pay for the skyrocketed cost of health care. And for them to run around as they were last night, high-fiving and saying, let's go celebrate. There's nothing to celebrate. People are still hungry. People are still being denied health care. People are still in dire straits throughout our country. And this attempt to play games with the American people's lives is unconscionable. But we continue to see it happening. Yeah, they opened the government, and for our federal employees who will be paid, we're very grateful. For our military who now will be able to get paid, we're very grateful. For the agencies that have been shut down will now be reopened so we can continue to serve the millions of people who rely on the various federal agencies. This is great. But it's only half done. It's only half done. You can't say, here are your SNAP benefits back, but I'm going to snatch away your health care. You can't say, yes, you can go back to work now, and you can call Veterans Affairs, and you can call Social Security, and you can call the various agencies for your passports. Oh, but by the way, we're going to take away your health care. We're not going to allow you to have access to the ACA tax credits that saves millions of lives annually. It's cruel and unusual punishment. And this is what they're celebrating. Now, last night was not a victory. Yeah, the government's been reopened, and that's a good thing. But they left so many other things undone. And I will say what I've said all along. It's cruel. It's unusual punishment. And I will fight to the death of me until we're able to reverse these evil actions and take care of the American people.
So, Congressman, correct me if I'm wrong, but what we're talking about are ACA tax credits, which expanded subsidy eligibility. And this was done by Congress a few years ago, and the expiration date, I believe, is the end of the year, meaning December 31st. So if these extensions, if these provisions are not extended, it means they expire, and then we return to a situation where people's premiums will skyrocket. Is that, in essence, what we're talking about?
That's an absolute fact. Their premiums will, in some cases, as much as double, in some cases, even more. So you're talking about one's ability to afford to have health care at all. Remember, they're not in that space that they can get Medicaid because they're going to work every day. They own their small businesses, so they make money, but not enough money to pay for their insurance. They make too much money to access Medicaid. They're right in that center where many Americans are. They will lose their health coverage, or they will lose something because their premiums will exponentially increase. Now watch this. What ends up happening is these very people who are out there dependent on the ACA tax credits, and because of the financial circumstances they're in, many people will roll the dice and say, well, I'll have to live without health insurance. Now, what does that mean? When a person makes a decision to roll the dice and forego health insurance because they can't afford the premiums, that means they can't get their medicine. That means they get sicker. That means the first time they get to see a doctor is in an emergency room. That means that's greater strain on the system. That means greater cost across the board. It is absolutely foolish to force Americans to have to make such a decision.
Well, the idea of having so many people benefit over the last number of years and be so close to having some sense of health care security or comfort taken away from them is quite a worrisome thing. Yet, it seems to me that the poll numbers show that a large majority of Americans now understand that this would have a negative impact on them and their families and their neighbors, even if they voted for President Trump and the GOP. Yet, we have the president and your Republican colleagues in the House and then those in the Senate pushing to say, we don't want to do that. Why such resistance when the American public shows in poll after poll that we want to keep these extensions? And this is not just in blue states, that's in red states. Why such resistance when the American public is showing this is what they want?
Well, it appears that this president, Donald Trump, has some type of magic over these members that they cannot tell him no. Even when they know he is wrong, there is some spell that he appears to have over the GOP, that they follow him and they do things that are, that are counterproductive to the very people that they represent. They're reading the same polls that you're reading, the same polls that I'm reading. They're seeing the same actions that the whole country saw a couple of Tuesdays ago. They're seeing the people revolting, and they're seeing the voters' remorse from Republicans who voted for Trump, who are now saying they regret that they did and they never will again. Yet, they cannot seem to deny his request. They seem to, even in the face of incredible facts, even in the face of their very own constituents who are literally dying at the hands of these ill-thought-out policies, yet they cannot seem to break away and do something different. Now, privately, I see the agony in their faces. I have conversations with them, and they are just painfully going along. But when the cameras come on, when it's time to vote, they fall in line with the painful policies that Donald Trump presents to them. I've never seen anything like this in my life. I've never seen, outside of a Jim Jones or a David Koresh or some other cultist, have this much power over policymakers or individuals. We see it every single day. Last night, after passing this disastrous budget package, a package that has a $500 million parachute for 8 members of Congress, just embedded in the bill to take care of 8 members of the Senate. These things that are just totally contradictory of what's important to the American people. It's as if they're just completely blindsided by the enamor of Trump that they've forgotten the very people that sent them to Washington. Well, guess what? Democrats have not forgotten who sent us to Washington. And while they may have opened the government and the positives that come from that, we'll take. But they left millions of people in the lurch. Democrats will continue to fight to make sure that every single day that we're fighting to keep offering amendments, to keep pushing, to try and turn 1, 2, 3 Republicans to come the right way, to recognize that not only is this hurting Democrats, it's hurting Republicans. Our president went on television a week or so ago and said that only Democrats use SNAP. He's woefully
we know
wrong.
That's not true.
He's woefully wrong.
Yeah. Well, we got a caller,
Congressman.
Congressman.
How out of touch and out of sight they are.
All right. Well, we're talking to Congressman Troy Carter, as we do most Thursdays right here on WBOK, 12:30 a.m. I am Will Sutton, and we've got a call. Good morning, James. You're on with Congressman Carter.
Good morning, Congressman. Good morning, Brother Will. What's happening with the audience? Everybody listening.
All right.
Good morning, sir.
All right. I think that Mr. Schumer's legacy is probably going to be damaged a little bit with this. He said he didn't vote for it, but we here in the city don't believe that. There's some type of political gamesmanship going on. I think that this going to hurt his legacy. And I, for the life of me, I just don't envy the position that you have to be in, corralling a room full of cats to get in line, like the Republicans are behind whatever their agenda is. Whatever their agenda is, you know, they seem to be on one accord. But anyway, I have a question, and it is being that they're talking about putting the subsidies into the Americans' hands. What does that look like? How do we even begin to fathom and afford that? And putting the subsidies in somebody's hand who don't have money, we're going to ride Peter to pay Paul, much like the government does. But what does that look like? Does that that it don't make sense to me. I'm just.
Well, are you talking about Trump talking about giving everybody $2,000?
I don't know if
is that what you're referring to?
But subsidies for to take care of your own insurance, your own health care. So if that's the $2,000,
that James, that's nothing more than a joke. This notion that he's going to send every American $2,000. We cannot fall for the okey doke of this game that somehow he's going to buy the American people by sending everybody a $2,000 check. What is a $2,000 check going to do for your health care? That's barely going to pay 1 month of a premium.
That's my question. But I didn't even realize that that $2,000 fiasco or joke was a real thing. So, like, I heard that in the wind, and people talk about it. But I thought.
Well, I hope it's not real. He's talking about it right now, but he did it once before.
Yeah, well, and everybody touted him as the greatest leader in America.
Well, because people went out and they thought they got a $2,000 gift and they went shopping, but it's like the old adage: teach a man to fish, and he eat a lifetime.
There you go.
Give a man a fish and he'll eat for that one time. This notion that he's going to trick us by dangling some money in front, in the long run, you're killing America. Literally.
A one-time $2,000 payments, man. That is asinine to even think that that's going to help you if your family has an emergency. If you or your family have the emergency, this subsidy, this check, this welfare, this social experiment that he's going to try is nothing more than a capitalist design experiment to show you that you are willing and able to be subjugated. That's the way I see it. I just thought it was something different. I was calling to get some info. You cleared that up for me. Thank you very much for what you do. I appreciate you. Keep fighting, bro.
Thank you, Brother James. I appreciate you, man. I always enjoy hearing from you. Clearly, James is watching this stuff and paying attention. We need more people to do just that because we need to be aware. We need to pay attention, to listen, to engage, and to see the kind of tricks that they are attempting to do. Attempting to give the American people $2,000 is like giving you one piece of a crumb off of a whole table's worth of food. $2,000 means absolutely nothing.
Nothing
in comparison to what people need to eat for their social welfare, for their health, to pay their health premiums, to maintain their health, to care for their families, and for Trump to even suggest something like this is like Marie Antoinette saying, Let them eat cake.
That's what I said. I say that. And I got to the point to where I started to feel empowered during the shutdown, even though it affected my household, because my wife is a government worker. My sons have dealings with the state, but there are issues that far exceed their methodology that I just don't think Washington even, they're clueless. They're clueless to actually what's going on, boots on the ground with the American people. Absolutely clueless. This man's still talking about groceries like this word was just he created the word. And
prices of groceries continue to rise.
Yeah, I just,
because of his tariffs.
I don't understand it. I don't know what math they're mathing with, but it don't equal up. It don't equal up at all. Anyway, all right, brother.
All right,
I'm going to bang out the way and let you do your thing.
All right. Thank you so much, James.
Yep.
Appreciate it. You have a blessed day. We've got another call. Reverend Calhoun, you're on the line with Congressman Troy Carter.
Good morning to all.
Good morning.
Congressman, I'm interested in seeing have the Louisiana delegation come together at all, Republicans and Democrats, to look at the projected shortfall, because I'm understanding we get, 52%, 54% of Louisiana's budget comes out of the federal government. Has there been any projections as to what now and how much will be cut coming to Louisiana now? Because I don't see where Mike Johnson or Steve or any of those people are actually bringing any money back into the state. So is there any conversation between the Louisiana delegation concerning what how the projection of the budget will be impacted toward Louisiana, given that we know, because he's sending money to Argentina and other places, it does not look like he's trying to send any money to states.
Well, it looks like he wants to send the National Guard here when it's not necessary. You know, my comment is, you really want to help with crime, you really want to help, send us resources. Send us money to retain, recruit, and better train our police officers. Send us money to work with our agencies so they have state-of-the-art equipment and information and processes that we're not just arresting and convicting, but we're arresting and convicting the right people. You know, there's a lot of things that he can do. And as it relates to the shortfall and the detriment to our own state, all of that seems to be, they appear to be oblivious to it, all because Trump is oblivious to it. And as I alluded to in my earlier comments, they appear to be hoodwinked, might be too little of a word. They appear to be under some type of a spell when this man speaks. Even when he tells them to hurt themselves, they do it. Even when they are told to deny resources to the people, the very people that elect them, the very people that they take an oath of office, they seem to not have the courage to say no. Rev, you are spot on. The numbers that you speak of are real. These numbers that you speak of are real. The shortfall is real. The damage to the American people is real. And for my Republican colleagues to just act as if it isn't so because their talking points are directly contradictory to the facts that the people who tabulate the budget, our CBO, a Congressional Budget Office, who is a nonpartisan, non-political group who tabulate and project the cost. Everyone's terrified except Trump because he doesn't care.
Trump is not terrified, Congressman, because it won't impact him. His grandchildren does not have to worry about education or eating. So, no, he has no concern about anybody else being impacted because he won't ever be. And I'm not understanding your colleagues in terms of what do they see coming to this state and how they're preparing this state to deal with it. For some reason, it seems that they think that everything is rosy and everything is going to be okay. The rhetoric that comes out of that party seems to be, oh, we won. And I don't think they understand what they have won. I don't know. And I'm sitting from back to look just to hear what are they going to actually do to address the shortfall. I understand that they have some kind of comment from the governor concerning New Orleans about how fairly they treated New Orleans. But New Orleans is the scapegoat here. And again, what I see is that there's been several attempts to come into New Orleans to try to take over or control the revenue that's generated in New Orleans. It's at this point, we don't even get a fair share of what we give back to the state. So I don't understand where all of this is coming from. Are they going to wait till we fail or till we fall for them then to have a real conversation about what's needed in the state of Louisiana. We last in everything. You name it, we last in it. So how then do we now come together, or do they come together to say that we're going to make the state better since we have all this power with the leadership? And I'm not understanding. So,
well, there's a lot to not understand, because I cannot climb into the heads, nor you or any of us, to understand how people who take an oath of office to care for and provide for the well-being of a country, to be so selfishly led to do things that are counterproductive for the very people you were elected to serve. But it happens every day. If you saw the House floor last night, Rev,
is it true
literally they're running around.
Reverend Calhoun, hold on. Just let's have one voice. Go ahead, Congressman.
High-fiving, dapping each other up, celebrating, shouting from the floor, "Let's go celebrate." Celebrate what? What are you celebrating? Celebrating that you made Donald Trump happy? Because you certainly didn't make the American people happy.
Is it true that he's trying to give money also to those that was in the January 6th? I don't even know what to call it anymore.
There were eight members of the Senate that had court issues as it relates to their emails or cell records being subpoenaed, and there's $500 million that's put in the budget to give to those 8 members. Can you believe it? Yeah.
It's $500,000 per violation. I think it is
500. Yes.
Yeah, $500,000 per violation, and that is not a help to the American people. That's specifically to allow Lindsey Graham, Bill Hagerty, Josh Hawley, Dan Sullivan, Tommy Tuberville, Ron Johnson, Cynthia Loomis, and Marsha Blackburn, to allow them to sue the federal government to get money from the government based on investigation of their records related to January 6th.
That's crazy.
Believe that?
Yeah, that's
but
crazy.
But we have people living under overpasses. But we have people that are rationing their medicine in America. We have people who cannot afford to get sick in America, so they stomach through the pain and ultimately die a young death.
We have a food pantry.
We can provide for the richest rich. We can give tax breaks for the richest rich, but want to extend the ACA tax credits for only 1 year. We can give tax breaks to the richest rich, but our tipped employees, the no tax for the first $24,000 of their earnings is only for 2 years. Most people don't realize that. It's not permanent. Tax breaks for the richest rich is permanent. But for our tipped employees who the president bragged about giving some relief to, it's only for the first $24,000 of the income. Everything above $24,000 they still pay, and it expires in 2 years.
Wow.
The fine print.
Congressman, I'm just trying to see if we're going to have any real conversation from your colleagues concerning the budget of Louisiana.
Listen, we try every day. I would encourage you and other listeners to peacefully and lawfully reach out to them. Don't give them a pass. If they represent, the Speaker of the House represents the entire country, Republican and Democrat. We cannot give our Republican counterparts a pass and not ask them these questions. We have to write them letters, go on social media, and I underscore peacefully, lawfully. Reach out to them. Ask them these questions. Don't give them a pass because they don't care. And you say, "Oh, well, they won't listen." Make them listen. If you keep knocking long enough, they'll open the door. And I think it's past time that we have given them way too many passes and letting them get away with the things that they do. We've got to hold them accountable. Thank you, Rev.
All right. Thank you, Reverend Calhoun, for calling in. Appreciate it. You have a blessed day, guy. All right, Congressman, I know we're going to have to let you go in a few minutes. Could you update us on the short-term extension, the NFIP, so that we are aware of what's going on with that?
Yes. So as you know, myself and Mike Ezell had legislation that we sponsored and presented back in April to extend the National Flood Insurance Program in anticipation of what we thought might be what actually happened, have a government shutdown. Because we knew what would happen if the flood insurance program canceled, it would bring mortgages to a screeching halt. It would deny people an opportunity to purchase homes. Big major developments that require flood insurance would have to be halted. We presented an extension. Unfortunately, it was never brought to the floor for a vote. But even though I voted against this bill last night, I'm relieved that the National Flood Insurance Program was reauthorized, albeit temporarily, in the budget bill that was passed last night. This should allow policyholders whose policy lapsed during the Republican shutdown to renew their policies, and they're retroactive to October 1st, 2025, at their current premiums, which means people that couldn't renew had more than a 30-day lapse, but because we were able to roll it back, they will not suffer any increase in their premiums. This action follows a bipartisan legislation that I and Mike Ezell presented. This is a short-term fix because this is just embedded in the action. So now we'll have to come back with a bill that will extend it more. So we're hopeful that the Speaker of the House will allow our bill to come to the floor for a vote, which would create a more permanent fix.
All right, and one more thing before we let you go. I know you got a lot of things to take care of. Please make sure that our WBOK family of listeners know that when you're in New Orleans, you're in New Orleans and the district, and when you're in D.C., you're in D.C., but you always have a team right here in New Orleans and in the district who are there to help them. How can they reach out to them?
24/7. When I am so proud of the team that I have working on the ground 24/7, who are always available to address the concerns, the needs that you have. Listen, we've got a lot of moving parts, but I'm very proud of the fact that we try to be everywhere and to address the needs of the constituency. So I would encourage you to get our latest updates at troycarter.house.gov. That's troycarter.house.gov. You can always access everything that's going on. You can call, you can text, you can visit us with any concern. Any concerns that you have. My staff and team, I'm blessed to have a fantastic team of workers that are on the ground throughout the state at our various offices, ready to serve you. I'd also encourage you to follow us on any of the social media, whether it's Instagram, Blue Sky, Twitter, Facebook. Follow us at the @ Rep Troy Carter, at Rep Troy Carter, for constant updates, information on things that's going on in Washington and in the district. Listen, we love you. We're here. God bless WBOK. Keep listening to the station that gives you around-the-clock news, information, things that's important to you, and most importantly, unfettered access to the facts. God bless you. God bless you, Will.
All right. Have a great day. Thank you, Congressman. All right. We're wrapping up that conversation with Congressman Troy Carter. And we love to hear from him with everything that's been going on in Washington, D.C. And in Louisiana with SNAP and the federal government shutdown. It is 8 a.m. You're listening to WBOK 1230 AM, what New Orleans is talking about all day long.
You've got responsibilities, but that doesn't mean your dreams are on hold. At Southern University at New Orleans, our evening and weekend college is designed with your life in mind. Finish your degree, start a new one, on your time, your degree, your schedule, no excuses, just opportunity. Visit suno.edu and make your next move today.
This is The Law in Your Legacy. I'm attorney Pete Hamilton.
I'm attorney Ryan Hamilton.
When it comes to family planning, should you go with a will or a trust?
A will is like leaving instructions to the court. It tells them who gets what, but your family still has to go through a succession, which can be costly and time-consuming.
A trust, on the other hand, avoids court altogether. So when the time comes, everything transfers smoothly to your loved ones.
It's a little more work up front, but way less hassle and expense later. Plan smart, save time, and take care of your family.
This is not legal advice. That's just a tip brought to you by Liberty Bank and Trust. For more information, go to libertybank.net or contact us at 504-915-5016.
Meet Leanna, a part-time chef and full-time mom. In the past, Leanna didn't have health insurance because she didn't think she could afford it. What she didn't realize is she qualified for Medicaid. She loves the coverage and peace of mind that comes with high-quality care. The kind of care you get with Healthy Blue. This is Medicaid, and it's for more people than you think. Maybe even you. To see if you qualify, go to myhealthybluela.com.
WBOK New Orleans, home of the Good Morning Show, 7 to 9 a.m. weekdays.
This news report is brought to you by New Schools for New Orleans.
I'm Bree Wood with BIN News Now. An Army gynecologist at Fort Hood in Texas is accused of secretly recording women during exams. In an exclusive interview with NBC, the Jane Doe has a message for Army leaders.
Shame on you for letting this happen. Shame on you for not taking action.
A lawsuit claims Dr. Blaine McGraw exploited patients. He's been suspended while the Army investigates. Chicago aldermen want more solutions for the city's billion-dollar deficit. They're urging Black Mayor Brandon Johnson to dig deeper into an EY consultant's report. Johnson says he's open to ideas but defends his corporate tax plan, calling on big companies to pay their fair share. And iHeartMedia and TikTok are teaming up for a first-of-its-kind partnership, launching TikTok Radio and a new podcast network with up to 25 creator-hosted shows. The deal also includes live events. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
This is Dr. Jaquil Ross, the host for Talk That, NOLA Education, brought to you by New Schools for New Orleans. On Talk That, we'll be focusing on the amazing work of educators and students happening inside and around public schools in New Orleans. Our school communities are full of so much talent and promise, so let's talk about it. This month, we'll be joined by Jamar McNeely, Jarrell Bryant, and Dana Peterson for a discussion focused on the importance of Black men in education. Also, we will hear from Kathleen Harris, Dr. Sheila Guidry, and Dr. Kelly Jordan to talk about how NSNO and NOLA Public Schools are supporting a growing English language learner population in our schools. Following that, we will have a conversation with a few representatives from NOLA Public Schools to talk about the upcoming enrollment window for school year 26-27 using the New Orleans Common Application process. So tune in to Talk That, NOLA Education, every Monday at 12:30 p.m. on 12:30 a.m. To learn more about NSNO and our programs, visit newschoolsforneworleans.org.
Good morning, wake up. The Good Morning Show. Good morning. On WBOK. Good morning, and welcome back to the Good Morning Show right here on WBOK 1230 AM.
We appreciate you giving us some of your Thursday morning to be with us, to share with the news and information that we are providing. And we appreciate you realizing that the school zone speed limits are still in effect until 9. It's 8:06 a.m. If you got to be there at 8:15, you might be doing okay, but please, please, please be careful. Right now, we're going to be jumping into conversation with Dr. Kathy Hempstead. She is from the Robert Wood Johnson Foundation. They do such wonderful work. And Dr. Hempstead is here to talk to us about an analysis that the foundation did looking at those who are insured and using healthcare.gov. Good morning, Dr. Hempstead. This is Will Sutton. How are you?
Good morning, Will. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely, absolutely. So how are things there in your part of the world?
Well, winter's starting to come, I'll say that. And open enrollment is in full swing here in New Jersey, as it is for you in New Orleans.
Yep. So let's start right there. So often, I think annually we have open enrollment, yet some people kind of forget that it's an open enrollment period. What is open enrollment, and what should our WBOK family of listeners be thinking about?
Sure. Great question. There's actually two different open enrollments going on right now. One is for Medicare, and that will last until December 15th. And the other, which is what I'm really here to talk about, is for the Affordable Care Act, which is the individual market, sometimes called Obamacare, and that is the market for people who are too young for Medicare, not eligible for Medicaid, and don't get coverage from an employer. So it's a really important part of our system. And in Louisiana, almost 300,000 people have a plan that they got on the Affordable Care Act marketplace. And now is the time for them to go back to the marketplace and re-enroll, and for new folks who might need coverage in the individual market to check out the plans and enroll.
So if somebody's already been in a program through the ACA marketplace, can they just say, I just want what I have, and then continue it, or must they go in and take action?
It is a really important year for people to take action and not just auto enroll, but to go back and look at plans. And one of the reasons, and this is kind of some bad news, and you've probably been hearing about this, is that there were some extra expanded tax credits that have been in place for a few years that made these plans more affordable, but now it's looking very much like those tax credits are not going to be extended. And so the plans in 2026, unfortunately, are going to be more costly for folks than they were in 2025. So it is really important that people go back to the marketplace and look at their options and see what makes the most sense for them.
Well, I know the Robert Wood Johnson Foundation is not a political organization, but of course politics has a great impact on so many things, including health care. With the government shut down and the debate over the ACA extensions and what's just happened in Washington in the last few days and even last night, how does that affect somebody going into the marketplace today? Should they look at it with the context that the government is reopened, everything's okay, or these extensions have not been, the request for extensions has not been approved, so they expire December 21. What does that look like for 2026? Do they have to go in a couple of times, one before Congress takes any action and look at one set of prices, and then look in 2026, or is it too late?
People should enroll now, because if you want your coverage to start January 1st, well, you don't have to enroll now, but you should choose a plan by December 15th if you want your coverage to start on January 1st. And that's kind of the the way it is for most people. If you enroll as late as January 15th, that's the absolute cutoff date. Then your coverage will start February 1st. So you should go now and look. If you alluded to the fact that if Congress took action, these tax credits could be extended. That's looking pretty unlikely now. But if that were to happen, there would be some, convoluted process of letting people, giving the new prices to people and maybe giving people another chance to choose a plan before coverage starts in January. So nobody should be waiting for Congress to do something before they go and choose plans. And I think, unfortunately, people that were in the marketplace last year are going to go back and see that it's going to cost them more this year. For some people, it's going to cost them a lot more. For some people, not so much. It kind of depends on their income and what kind of plan they chose. It's a little bit hard to generalize, but I think most people would notice. So someone might want to go from, say, a silver plan to a bronze plan, or a gold plan to a silver plan, or make some other movements that would save them some money. And so it's important to look around. The coverage is still the same, even though you may have heard people, politicians saying it's lousy coverage or blah, blah, blah. It's not. It's good coverage. It's just like employer coverage. It covers all the major services and medications and things that you need. It's just going to cost you more.
And so you said there are about 300,000 folks in Louisiana that are in this program, correct?
That's right. That's right. And, unfortunately, we do expect that the marketplace is going to shrink, because some people are going to go back and say, I can't afford that this year, or, I'm not going to be able to pay those premiums this year, and they're going to, drop out. And so, that's unfortunate. And that's one of the consequences, of course, of, the fact that Congress is not acting to extend these tax credits, because these tax credits did make coverage a lot more affordable. And after they were passed, the, enrollment in the marketplace increased a lot nationally, and in Louisiana.
So nationally and in the state of Louisiana, has that the number of people participating stayed pretty steady, or has there been attrition for a number of factors?
Well, it's been increasing since 2021. That's when, 2022 actually was the first year that these tax credits were in place, and enrollment increased all that time. But I think most people expect that in 2026 we're going to see a reduction in enrollment, because some set of people, and people estimate like approximately a third, maybe, or 40% of the marketplace is not going to come back, because they're going to. Yeah, they're going to look at. It is a lot of people. It is a lot of people, and it varies state by state, kind of just depending on the split of people by income and how much change they're going to see in their premiums. And that's bad for the people that lose coverage, of course, and it's also really bad for the marketplace, because it tends to be the case that the people that leave are going to be the healthier people, and the people that stay are going to be the people that really need to use health care, and then that kind of will make the premiums cost more, going forward, because it's serving like a less healthy population kind of on average.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things that was debated, discussed years ago, that people, may not continue to understand the pool of people and their health and their ages, and all of those things are factors that go into determining what can be covered at what level and at what cost. Do you think we're in a better place now than we were, or is that just going to be an ongoing situation?
Well, I think that, the decision to create the individual market that was like what we call community rated, which means that anyone can join, and we're not going to like underwrite people that have health conditions, and that we're kind of sharing the cost of that among everybody. And I think that was a great decision, and that marketplace still exists. So I don't want people to give up on the marketplace. It's still there. The coverage is still there. And I think we are really going in the right direction when we made the coverage cheaper, and the marketplace grew to be like 25 million almost nationally, which is a lot. it's almost as big as Medicare Advantage. But now, unfortunately, I think our country has made a series of decisions that are going to increase the uninsured population a lot. And one of them is to not extend these tax credits. And then there are, things coming down the pike in the Medicaid program that are also, predicted to separate a lot of people from their coverage. So it's really sad to say, but I feel like we're making a bit of a U-turn from, many years of reducing uninsurance, and now it seems like unless we make some changes, we're going to see the uninsured population grow in this country.
And I am not a health expert, and I'm certainly not a deep researcher as you and your colleagues are, but when something like that happens, those folks are making individual choices for themselves based on what they can afford, which is saying, I don't think I can afford this, or I know that I can't. But when something serious happens to them and they have to go to a hospital, likely in an emergency situation, and that cost is covered, essentially that goes into the marketplace, and we too are affected because the premiums are adjusted. Is that right?
Well, what it would turn out to be is kind of like a burden on the hospital system, and then it affects like beyond the marketplace. It really affects everybody, because when people lose their coverage, they stop getting routine care. So they don't go for their physicals, they don't get their vaccinations, they don't get their cancer screenings, they don't get all these things that they need, but also the doctors and hospitals kind of need that business too. So they stay away, and so it's bad for the healthcare system and it's bad for them. And then they're terrified about having to use care because they're afraid of the debt that's going to ensue. And a lot of times, unfortunately, people wait and wait and wait until something is really dramatic and they can't ignore it. And then they'll show up in a very acute setting, like an emergency room, and they will sometimes, unfortunately, not be able to be treated. So there's a very serious health and mortality impact of this. But, the care that they receive, a lot of times they are not able to pay for it, of course. And so then that becomes like an increased charity care burden on hospitals. And so when hospitals get strained, you may see them closing. You may see them laying off people. You may see them reducing services. So there is a ripple effect that will affect everybody, people on Medicare, people with employer coverage, people on Medicaid, because they, will not necessarily be able to get the services that they usually get.
Right. Now, I know you're going to have to go in a bit. Can you give us, our listeners, some basics on where do they go to look at the marketplace, and what are the first steps that they should take, especially if they have not been in the marketplace before?
Yes, it's very easy to remember, healthcare.gov. That is the federal website. You will go there. You will put in your zip code, your age, your, what you're looking for, the size of your household, your income, and you will quickly be able to see what you're eligible for in terms of the tax credit, what plans you can choose from. All the plans they cover the same things. The only difference is sort of the difference between whether the premiums are higher and the cost sharing is lower, or the premiums are lower and the cost sharing is higher. So you'll see plans that are bronze, silver, gold, sometimes platinum, and the coverage is the same. It's just how you pay for it. So people, will see what they can choose, and then if it turns out you're eligible for Medicaid, you will be directed to that agency.
Okay. And so go ahead and make your choices by December 15th, whether the U.S. Congress takes up extensions by then or not, because you want to be covered in 2026, correct?
Yes, that's what I think. It's unfortunate that the plans are not as affordable as they were, but if you need coverage, you need coverage. And this is, if you fall into the population that doesn't have coverage elsewhere, this is your marketplace. So I do encourage people to go and do the best they can for themselves.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for joining us today, Dr. Hempstead. And again, thank you to you and your colleagues at the Robert Wood Johnson Foundation. I want to encourage those of you who have heard of the foundation but maybe have not been aware of their work to look at their website. There's a lot of really good information and deep data there that they have collected over the years, and they're constantly updating it. So thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Dr. Hempstead. You have a blessed day. All right, folks, we're going to take a break, and when we come back, we'll be talking more about the news and information you want to know about, should know about, and ought to know about. And we will be anticipating hearing from the top executive of the state of Louisiana. Yes, Governor Jeff Landry. So we hope to be hearing from him. Stay tuned right here to the Good Morning Show, WBOK, 1230 a.m., what New Orleans is talking about all day long.
This is your news update for WBOK from WDSU. For all your news and weather, watch WDSU News, New Orleans' leader in live, local, late-breaking news. Today at noon and 4 p.m.
Good morning. I'm Daryl Forges with WDSU News, and here's your headlines. After 43 days, this morning, the federal government is once again open. This after the House passed a stopgap funding bill last night, and the president signed it shortly after that. And the reopening will have real-world impacts on Americans. More services are getting back online thanks to the return of furloughed federal workers. But SNAP benefits could be available again sometime soon. Today, the New Orleans City Council will meet for a special meeting focused on the budget. The meeting comes after the State Bond Commission approved the city's request to secure a $125 million loan to help cover payroll. The deal comes with strict oversight, like weekly meetings, and the state auditor essentially policing the city's checkbook. Local leaders describe it as a critical step to avoid a worse budget crisis. Moreno says they expect to get the money fairly quickly, but it likely won't be in enough time for upcoming payroll, so they think they'll have to tap into the rainy day fund for that. The hot seat is getting a lot hotter for head coach Willie Green of the Pelicans. This after the Pels fell against the Trailblazers last night inside the Smoothie King Center. And as the Pelicans prepare to take on the court again tomorrow against the Los Angeles Lakers, many are wondering what's next for Willie Green. I'm Daryl Forges, and that's your headlines for WBOK.
New Orleans, are you ready for a voice that says what you're thinking? Who that, you might ask? Arrington Gavin. That's right, I'm your guy, host of The Arrington Gavin Show, giving you so much filled with bold opinions, real conversations, and zero sugarcoating. We're going to be diving into the issues that matter, politics, pop culture, and all the above, unfiltered and unafraid. Catch The Arrington Gavin Show weeknights from 7 p.m. to 8 p.m., Monday through Fridays, right here on WBOK, what New Orleans is talking about.
Good morning, wake up. The Good Morning Show. Good morning. On WBOK.
Good morning, good morning, good morning, and welcome back to the Good Morning Show right here on WBOK 1230 a.m. I am Will Sutton. It is 8:25 a.m. You got somewhere to be at 8:30. I hope it's really, really close. But remember, the school zone speed limits are still in effect until 9. And we're going to be jumping in the conversation with the top executive of the state of Louisiana. Good morning, Governor Jeff Landry. It's Will Sutton and the WBOK family of listeners. How are you, sir?
I'm wonderful, Will. Good morning.
Well, Governor, there's been a lot going on in Baton Rouge and in Washington, D.C., but one of the critical things that's happened that's caused a lot of angst is SNAP benefits. With the government shutdown, that certainly had an impact on the state of Louisiana. You had to make some decisions about what would happen in the state of Louisiana. Not everybody agreed with the decisions that you made. Tell us what you did, why you did it, and then we can talk some more about where we stand now.
Well, first of all, we just were not going to allow the dysfunctionality of Washington, D.C. And the shutdown to get in the way of taking care of our most vulnerable population. I mean, and what I call it extreme compassion. And I met with our legislative leadership, and we recognize that because of the way that we've been governing over the last 21, 22 months, that things are good in the state of Louisiana. And we have really balanced the fiscal affairs of the state, and we had some money that we could utilize in order to take care of our most vulnerable population. And so we set in play a plan that would allow us to do that while Washington was trying to get their act together. And so what we did was we laid out a plan under which we would be able to fund the food stamp program, beginning with the elderly and the disabled, and then to take care of the children. So, that's kind of how we categorized it. And we didn't know how long the shutdown was going to occur, but we knew that we could take care of that population at least through the month of November under the worst case scenario. And then at the same time, Sharon, the First Lady, went out and started working with food banks. I think her foundation put up $100,000, and FMOL put up another $100,000 to be dispersed throughout the food banks around the state of Louisiana to help as well. And I think what you saw, Will, is that Louisiana actually led. Of course, we don't get any credit on the national stage because that would be too kind of everyone to talk about how we've actually taken care of people rather than throwing people out in the cold. But literally, Louisiana led on this, and Louisiana led with a heart.
Governor, I believe there's something like 800,000 people who qualify for SNAP in Louisiana, but we didn't cover all of those people. Why did you make the distinction to say some people would be covered and some people would not?
Well, because Will, look, I was raised in a family and in a household under which you take care of the most vulnerable of the populations, right? And then you work your way up from there, depending upon what resources you have available. I mean, money is not something that's infinite. You don't have an infinite supply of it. And so we were looking at it from a fiscal standpoint and making sure that we took care of the most vulnerable population. Number one, our seniors are important. They are in a very precarious situation. So we said, okay, we're going to take care of those. The disabled, again, those are people who can't take care of themselves. And so we just said, okay, we're going to take care of them. And then children, right? And so then we worked our way down, and we realized that we have, from a budgetary standpoint, there were about 53,000 people that were able-bodied. They were marked in there as able-bodied people. And so we encouraged them to utilize the food banks and encouraged them to find opportunities. Right now in our state, Will, we've got 114,000 new, not old, new job opportunities scattered throughout the state. In fact, that's a record for the country. And so, look, my theme is to try to move people from dependence to independence. You see smiles on people's faces when they take care of themselves and they're able to do that. These programs are meant to be a hand up, not a handout. And so we did. We made that decision for the able-bodied. We said, look, we want to work and encourage you to find opportunities under which you can work your way off of these types of programs.
So I understand that, Governor, but if somebody has qualified for SNAP, why shouldn't we continue to provide them with SNAP until such time they're able to move out on their own, rather than ask them to fend for yourself and go to food banks and see what you can do while you look for a job?
Well, look, I agree with you in that standpoint, but you got to go back to the dysfunctionality of the Schumer shutdown that we just went through. I mean, look, the fact that the Democrats in the Senate did not want to negotiate until it took them this long to get there threatened that particular program, and the state was not in a position under which we could just continue to dole it out. I mean, I would rather be able to stretch that money to take care of our seniors and the disabled and our children. And then, but again, remember, I didn't just say, oh, look, we're just going to throw them out to the cold. We went out and started raising money to support our food banks. I mean, if in other states they tried to rely simply on the food banks, and it's been an absolute disaster, right? Because they were not taking care. They're not taking care of their seniors. They're not taking care of the disabled, and then all of those are competing for food. And I think that that's what has to be recognized here, is that we made some very conscientious choices, and we picked the most vulnerable of the population in order to satisfy their needs. And then we addressed the disabled, again, satisfy their needs. And there was a group of people that there was more wants than needs. I mean, they had a greater opportunity to go and work into the food banks than the seniors and the disabled or the children. And so that was a very responsible way of putting it together. I'm sure there are those that don't like it, and that's okay. But I think that the bigger picture is that we did some of the greatest lifts here in this state that no other state, except maybe Virginia, in the country did. We were able to take care of our seniors and our disabled and the children. And I just, it's hard to debate that. I mean, you're going to go in there and complain about the able-bodied, and that's fine. But again, and here's the other thing too. If I'd have thrown everybody in the same pot, and suppose the shutdown would have gone longer than November, there might have been nothing left for me to then take care of the seniors and the disabled and the children. We wanted to, and we might have gotten to a point where we said, okay, we might have to take care of just the seniors and the disabled, and we might have to double down on the food banks for families with children. I'm glad we didn't have to get there. I'm glad that Washington reached a decision, but I think the bigger story here, Will, is the fact that we've done so well with the fiscal affairs of the state. The economic opportunities that are happening in Louisiana right now, the $70 billion of investment, have given us the ability to take care of those vulnerable populations without having to affect any other services. So I think it's a great story. It really is.
All right. So, Governor, as I understand it, the moves that you've made with your administration are to be helpful to the folks that you designated within SNAP, not everybody in SNAP, but that is a temporary November-only situation. Now, what happens as we move forward?
That's a great question, and I think that's important. Well, now that the government's open, everybody is going to get filled. Like all of the food stamp cards are going to be filled for the month of November. The USDA is going to start to give us the money, and so everybody, even so the population that you talked about that were excluded from our program and had to depend on the food banks, is not going to have to do that now because the government has reopened, and we'll get that money and we'll get it on their cards.
So when the government reopening isn't like a light switch, so it takes some days for these processes to go into effect. At what point do you think that things will be, quote unquote, back to normal in Louisiana for our SNAP recipients?
I'm hoping within the week, really and truly, and maybe even sooner than that. I mean, I talked to Bruce Greenstein, our Secretary of LDH, yesterday, and he had been in contact with USDA. And I mean, everybody except for the able-bodied group had 65% of the benefits on the cards already. The backfilling and those able-bodied, I will check this morning. It's a great question, and I'll get back to you, or we'll have somebody get back to you, Will, so y'all can make that announcement on the radio. But I'll find out when we think that those that fell in that donut hole are going to see any benefits on the card. I'll find that out for you.
Yeah, I think that's important because if you've been relying on this program, which first of all means you applied and you qualified for the program, and you're relying on these benefits, and then there's something that's not normal that starts happening a couple of weeks ago, and you're used to the card being filled on a certain date with a certain amount, and the money's there, and then it's not there, and then there's some money there, but not all of the money there. That's very confusing and frustrating, and it damages trust.
Oh, look, Will, I agree. I think it's important for everyone listening out there that the great thing is that while Washington was dysfunctional, their governor, their legislature took care of them. Irrespective, I can promise you something is better than nothing, and there were many cards around the country, and I know in 48 other states where there was zero. And I think that it's important for people to understand what a lift. Look, a big shout out goes out to our LDH staff and those that work at the Department of Health, the legislature as well, in supporting us and giving us an opportunity to have access to that money so that we could get it done. I mean, there's a lot that went on in the background so that those that did get 65% on their cards were able to get those things. In other states, those cards were empty.
So should our folks on SNAP worry about going into Thanksgiving?
No,
and Christmas?
No, they should not. They absolutely should not. Going into Thanksgiving, look, we're working. I think the elderly and the disabled may get a little extra for Thanksgiving this year, thanks to their governor and their legislature.
Whoa. You said extra. What,
yeah, a little extra.
Come on, Governor. What does that mean? I mean, you tell people.
Well, what extra means is that, look, we're working to find out how we load them. They may end up with 25% more than they got in the first month. Than they would normally get. I mean, it would be a one-time deal just because of the government shutdown. But we're working with the legislature and LDH because here's the thing: we don't want to load the card and take anything back. You know what I mean? And so, they may end up with 125% rather than 100%. And so, look, again, that would be a gift from them. Happy Thanksgiving from the legislature and the governor. We're not going to. I don't think it's right for us to penalize people if we give them something and then just take it back because all of a sudden the government reopened midstream and we were in process. And we decided to take care of the elderly and the disabled and our children. And so, that group that was in there in the first go round, they may end up with that. I think it's befitting.
All right, Governor, I'm still stuck on the extra. Of course, this is Louisiana. We like line yaps. So,
no, that's exactly what it is. Well, watch, Will. Here's how it works. The first 4 days of the month, the elderly and the disabled, their cards are loaded in the first 4 days. Okay? Those cards were loaded with 25% of what they normally got.
Which is
okay. Okay, so let's say you got $100 every month. I'm just using this. I know people get more than that, but say if you got $100 a month, and so those first 4 days you normally got your $100. Instead of that, what happened this month, because of the federal government shutdown. I want to make sure everyone knows this is not the governor that did this. The governor's over there helping, and so the first 4 days, those folks, instead of receiving the $100, received $25. Well, now we're in week 2, and the federal government decided to open, so we got access to more money. okay? And so the government's going to come and give us the $100. So when we go back and load those cards, those folks will just end up with $125 instead of $100. Does that math work for you now?
Okay. Will that be for everybody who's SNAP eligible?
Nope, that will not be. That's just nope. It will be for the elderly and the disabled.
Elderly and disabled.
That's correct.
No kids.
No, not unless they had kids in their household.
And no able-bodied who qualified for SNAP.
No able. All of those are going to get their normal.
Okay, so you want the able-bodied SNAP recipients to continue to get their benefits or no?
Yeah. Oh, no. They're going to get their benefits. That's what I'm telling you. And I'll get that information for you, Will, today.
That would be great.
I will get it. Yeah, I'll get it and find out. They may be loaded. I don't know. But it's also important to understand that the way we were structuring this was that everyone was getting 25% at a time. But right now, everyone, that's a great question. I'm gonna check on the able-bodied. They may have gotten 65% already. I'm gonna double check that. Look, there is a lot of confusion. Will I will admit to that. But it's all of that confusion has been caused by those folks up in Washington, D.C.
I hear you. But those folks in Washington, D.C. have primarily two party stripes, Republican and Democrat. And so there's a looming mess that's about to happen with the reopening of government because of the ACA extension tax credits not being extended. That seems like that's going to hurt Louisiana a lot.
Well, now, Will, look, I can only deal with one chaos at a time with that bunch up there. And the good news is that right now we're making sure that everybody gets fed in Louisiana.
And when we don't have extensions for the ACA in Louisiana, there are 300,000 people in the marketplace, what's going to happen to them?
That's a great question. I mean, maybe you should get Troy or some of the congressional delegation on the phone to talk about that. I don't know. Right now, I'm focused on making sure that people don't go hungry. And then, once we've satisfied that, then we'll figure out what the next crisis that's caused up there in Washington, and people will know that their governor's doing the best they can to take care of the people of this state.
All right, Governor, I know we're going to have to let you go, and we really appreciate you giving us some time on the Good Morning Show right here on WBOK, 1230 a.m. One more question. We've got a fiscal crisis in New Orleans. Things looks like things are being worked out to get us through the end of this year. City Council is working on a budget for next year. Looks like we're going to have we have authorization for $125 million approval to seek the essentially municipal payday loan. What else do you anticipate doing to help New Orleans, since New Orleans is such an economic driver for the state of Louisiana?
Well, we did a huge thing for New Orleans yesterday by granting them the ability to access $125 million so that they could make the payroll that they needed. We're going to be working with them to try to straighten up the budget mess that the city has. Look, Will, no governor has spent more time in the city of New Orleans than myself, working to try to make the city of New Orleans a better, more hospitable place that we can attract people and businesses and folks can feel safe in that city. And so, that commitment is going to continue to go on.
Governor, can you say that you do not want to take over the city of New Orleans?
Oh, no, I can promise you I do not want to take over the city of New Orleans. I never did. I want the city of New Orleans to function without having the state of Louisiana need them, like other cities as well. And then, look, Will, this is not unusual. When I was Attorney General, I sat on the Fiscal Review Committee, as our current Attorney General does, and there are cities that end up in financial predicaments just like that. And we worked with those cities when I was AG as well to try to get them in a position where they can govern themselves, and we did. We were very effective in doing that. So this is not something new to me, and I think that in working with the leadership, we can get the city of New Orleans' fiscal affairs straight. Just like, look, well, here's something that's important. Okay, I don't know. I mean, you've been talking through that microphone for a long time. How many years now?
Off and on for a few years, but only for a few months permanently on WBOK. But, I've been at this journalism thing for decades.
Okay. I'm going to tell you. You go back and look. I guarantee you that you've either spoken through that microphone or through a pen in your hand about the constant threat of cutting health care services or social services every time the legislature would come into session because of a fiscal mess going on in the state. This, under my leadership and the legislative leadership, we're going to go, I am predicting this, now we're halfway through. The first 4 years in over 35 years that you're going to have to find something else to complain about, which is okay. But it's not going to be that you're going to have to write that the legislature has to choose. And why? Because we've opened up economic opportunity, we've filled our coffers, and we've spent our money wisely without endangering the services that you would have to complain about. And I think that that's important, and those are the things that we want the city of New Orleans to take into account as well. That's the things that we'd like to see the city do.
Governor, do you understand why so many people feel like you're trying to take over the city of New Orleans? You said you do not want to do that, but do you understand why, with some of the different moves with the Sewage and Water Board and the Superdome and the Smoothie King and the way Fair Share worked out and the charter schools with this school system that we have, and now this fiscal crisis and the idea of a legislative order taking all over everything before we got to the point yesterday? Do you understand why people feel that way?
Look, I do, but I can tell you it's not because I want to. It's not like things are going peachy in the city of New Orleans and I came over there and want to disturb it. The city has a number of problems. And again, those affairs, and let me make sure you understand. If the city can't right itself, and let's just use, I'd like to look at the worst case scenario rather than the best case scenario. Okay? This is important to understand. If for whatever reason the city had to have a fiscal administrator, the governor has no part in that. Let me repeat, the governor has no part in that. That would be the legislative auditor, the treasurer, and the attorney general. So believe you me, even under the worst case scenario, the governor can't take over the city of New Orleans. So I don't think anyone has to worry about any of that if that's what they are concerned about.
Okay, Governor, I know we got to let you go. I'm getting the signal.
Thank you, Will.
But I hope you'll return so we can talk through some of these things. We have a lot of deep concerns, but sometimes through conversation, we can better understand another point of view. But sometimes we don't have that opportunity because we only see it through the lens of a television camera. And so I welcome you to come back to the Good Morning Show, and let's talk about some of this.
You got it. Will, and I'll get you that information right away.
Yeah, because I might write about it, Governor, today, like on deadline.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Thanks to you, Governor Jeff Landry. Have a blessed day. Okay, there you have it. The chief executive of the state of Louisiana, Governor Jeff Landry, saying things are bad and gotten better with SNAP, and that he's improving SNAP, and that he wanted to make sure that the knuckleheads in D.C. did what they needed to do to get things on track, and that looks like some SNAP beneficiaries might get a little land in the lap soon. That's what he said, folks. That's what he said. You heard him right here on WBOK. The talk line is 504-582-9422, 504-582-9422. I know some of y'all got something to say about what the governor just said. This is WBOK, 1230 a.m., what New Orleans is talking about all day long.
This is your news update for WBOK from WDSU. For all your news and weather, watch WDSU News, New Orleans' leader in live, local, late-breaking news. Today at noon and 4 p.m.
Mostly sunny today with highs staying above average from 75 to 78 degrees. Even morning lows over the next several days will be a lot warmer compared to earlier this week. Expect those lows to be into the low to upper 50s. There's still no rain in sight, but we could have fog over the next several mornings. Friday's highs also reach the upper 70s to low 80s. From the WDSU First Warning Weather Center, I'm Raven Richard.
Tired of the impersonal, one-size-fit-all style of banking? You deserve a bank that delivers exceptional service and personalized attention to your needs. That's the Home Bank Standard. Since 1908, Home Bank has been a trusted financial partner for businesses and families because we go the extra mile to help you reach your goals. See for yourself why Home Bank is good for business, good for life. Stop by any New Orleans area location or find out more at home24bank.com. Home Bank, member FDIC.
It's tea time, New Orleans. Join the New Orleans Regional Black Chamber of Commerce for the 12th Annual City Classic Golf Tournament Friday, November 21st at the Joseph Bartholomew Golf Course located at 6514 Congress Drive. Registration and breakfast start at 8:30 a.m. with a 10 a.m. shotgun start, and ladies with the drive tea time at 10:30 a.m. Don't miss this annual tradition of excellence on the green, brought to you by the New Orleans Regional Black Chamber of Commerce.
The Historic New Orleans Collection presents a new exhibition open through June 7th, 2026, The Trail They Blazed. Built collaboratively with people who participated in the local civil rights movement, The Trail They Blazed presents stories of social and racial justice straight from the people who lived them. Listen to leaders tell their stories of resistance and persistence in their own voices, recorded by the Historic New Orleans Collection. Plan your visit to 520 Royal Street in the French Quarter and reserve your free tickets at hnoc.org today.
I live in New Orleans, and I work for Entergy. Hundreds of us make this city our home. That's why we're committed to providing you low-cost, reliable power. We're working on new projects across the city to reduce outages when bad weather strikes.
And we're working hard to keep our rates 20% below the national average. We're making changes and doing more.
Because New Orleans is our home too.
A message from the community scientist. Do you live or work in St. James, St. John, St. Charles, Ascension, Calcasieu, Baton Rouge, or St. Bernard Parish? You may be exposed to harmful chemicals like phthalates, BPA, and flame retardants found in everyday products but linked to serious health risks. That's why the community scientist, a program of Rise St. James, brings you clear, science-based facts that protect your health and our environment. Stay informed, stay empowered. Visit risestjames.org today.
The National World War II Museum, located in the Warehouse District of New Orleans. The National World War II Museum tells the story of America's experience in the war that changed the world, why it was fought, how it was won, and what it means today. Visit them online at www.nationalww2museum.org for time tickets and safety information.
Hey, New Orleans, this is First Lady of Funk with Jason Edward Funky Soul Band. Get out November 15 and vote for Calvin Duncan.
It's Jason up, y'all. When it comes to the vocals, I'ma run that. When it comes to your vote, let him get that. Let your voice be heard. This is giving you his word. Vote, make this change for something for Calvin Duncan. Vote Calvin Duncan. Vote Calvin Duncan.
Paid for by Calvin for Clerk.
Good morning, New Orleans, and welcome back to the Good Morning Show right here at WBOK, 1230 a.m. I am Will Sutton. The talk line is 504-582-9422, 504-582-9422. We just got off the phone with Governor Jeff Landry talking about SNAP and the takeover of New Orleans. He says he does not want to take over. He just wants New Orleans to do better. He says that there might be a little extra for some SNAP recipients. It would not include the able-bodied. Going to take care of the seniors first and foremost. But he's going to define what the extra looks like because I want to know. And a lot of other people want to. He said he's going to get some information and get back to us. So we shall see. You can't just say people are going to get extra and we don't know if it's going to be 50 cents or $50. Come on. We got to know. Okay, we got a call. Raquel, you're on the Good Morning Show. Good morning.
Good morning, Will. How you doing?
Fabulous. How are you?
I'm doing okay. I've been, waiting for that certain individual to come forward and stuff on that hot seat that he been, missing in action in. So I was just trying to see what was he was talking about and definitely see your expertise on the questions that needed to be answered. And far as what I heard so far, Will, it just seemed like the governor is really all over the place and I guess suffering with a little bit of emotional deficit with him, knowing about this over here, knowing about a little bit about that over there, but don't know about this and don't know about that. So, Governor and Will, can we all sing together, skip the loo, skip the loo, skip the loo, my darling? I don't know. I don't know what to call it, but I thank you and appreciate so much for us with the invite that he needed ever so dearly to come back and explain to us, I guess his verses on, that needs to be explained.
Right.
Thank you, Will.
All right. Thank you. You have a blessed day. Appreciate it.
All right. You too.
All right. Good morning, Mr. Norman Robinson, my friend. How are you, sir?
Good morning, my good brother. I think you made your bones with that interview with Jeff Landry. How did you? You are Mr. Talk Radio now, buddy. With that interview, that was outstanding. That was beautifully done this morning. I was proud of you.
Well, thank you. I hope he does follow up to tell us more. I mean, you put out a little something like that, and then can't answer the next part. Let's get the answers.
Yeah, well, he sounded to me, Will, like the kid who got caught with his hand in the cookie jar. That's what it sounded to me like this morning. I didn't hear the confidence and the swagger from his voice that he usually demonstrates during his press interviews on television. He sounded very, very defensive this morning. Did you get that impression?
Well, I think he was, he's not used to talking to this black talk radio station. I think he should do it more often, but that's up to him and his team. And I think I was respectful.
You were very respectful.
But these are things people want to know. And if we've had a fix, then if somebody is qualified and on SNAP, why not include them? I mean, I agree. I want everybody to work who can work. I'm fine with that. I think that's the right thing. But there are qualifications. There's an application. You can't just jump on the SNAP. If you or I apply for SNAP, we're going to be rejected.
That's right. That's right. And I was thinking the other day, why is it that they always pick on poor defenseless people? And the face of all of this, they traditionally and historically portray as African American, when we know that there are more poor white people on SNAP than there are African Americans. I don't get that. It's sort of a neurosis with the conservative hard right. I just have a difficult time wrapping my head around that.
Well, absolutely. Absolutely. And Brother Norman, you know about broadcasting. So it's time. I'm going to have to jump up and jump out of here.
All right, my brother.
I appreciate your call and your feedback. We'll talk some more off air. Folks,
right.
thank you so much for, you have a blessed day, Norman. Folks, we've had a good show with our Dr. Hempstead from the Robert Wood Foundation. We had Troy Carter talking to us about what's happened in Washington, D.C. with the government shutdown. And we had the governor of our state, Jeff Landry, talking to us about SNAP in particular and whether he wants to take over the city of New Orleans. Believe me, I will be following up on this conversation, and I'll let you know more about that tomorrow. Right now, I've got to get out of the way for the front porch. This is WBOK, 1230 a.m., what New Orleans is talking about all day long.